Joe Burrow fell asleep before the third goal. Would you have believed it if you saw the whole thing? June 17th, 2026. A date that should be carved into football history. Lionel Messi steps onto the pitch for Argentina against Algeria. He was one goal away from tying the all-time World Cup scoring record, a record that had stood for decades, a record that many thought would never be touched. And here he was, at an age where most players are retired or playing in retirement leagues. The pressure? Immense. But Messi doesn't feel pressure the way mortals do. From the first whistle, something felt different. Argentina came out with a ferocity that suggested they knew history was in the air. Algeria, no pushovers, tried to contain him. But containing Messi is like containing the ocean with a sieve. The first goal came in the 23rd minute. A typical Messi moment: pick up the ball outside the box, drift past two defenders, and curl it into the top corner. The stadium erupted. But Messi just jogged back, expressionless. He knew the job wasn't done. The second goal arrived just before halftime. A penalty, cool as you like, sent the keeper the wrong way. Now the record was tied. History was level. But Messi wasn't satisfied with a tie. The second half began with Algeria pushing for an equalizer. They had their chances, so shot off the crossbar. A save from the Argentine keeper, but football has a way of bending to the will of genius. In the 67th minute, the moment arrived. A through ball from DePaul, perfectly weighted. Messi sprinted, yes, sprinted, at 38 onto the ball, rounded the keeper, and slotted it home. Hat-trick. Record broken. Masterclass complete. The celebration was muted by Messi's standards. A simple fist pump. A look to the sky. But his eyes told the story. There were tears forming. After the match, reporters asked him what it meant. He said, "It's an honor." Just 3 words, but they carried decades of sacrifice. Let that sink in. A hat-trick in a World Cup at 38 years old. This wasn't just a record. It was a statement. It said, "I'm not done. I'm still the king." And the craziest part? Joe Burrow, the NFL star, reportedly saw only 1 goal before falling asleep. Think about that. One of the most historic nights in football history, and even a world-class athlete couldn't stay awake for all of it. It's almost poetic. The magnitude of the moment was too much for even the fittest to witness in full. But for those who stayed awake, who watched every second, it was a reminder of something we already knew. Messi is not human. He is a force of nature. This hat-trick was his 3rd in World Cups. The first was in 2006 when he was a teenager, and now, 20 years later, he's still doing it. The first World Cup hat-trick in history was scored by an American, Burt Patnaudda, in 1930. Almost a century later, Messi added his name to that list, but in a way that transcended the game. He didn't just score 3 goals. He dismantled the idea that age matters. He took the concept of defending champion and turned it into a warning. The warning: I'm still here. I'm still the best. And I'm coming for everything. Argentina won the match. The scoreline? Almost irrelevant. What mattered was the performance. The statement. Social media exploded. Headlines called it a masterclass. Historic. Unbelievable. But none of those words capture the feeling of watching it live. It was like watching a master painter complete his final masterpiece. Except we don't know if it's the final one. Messi keeps adding brushstrokes. The record he tied? It's a name everyone knows. But now, his name sits alone at the top. Well, not alone. He shares it with the previous record holder. But on this night, it felt like his alone. Opponents must be terrified. How do you plan for a player who defies logic? You can't. You just hope he has an off night. But off nights are rare for Messi, and on this night, he was at his peak. The hat-trick wasn't just about goals. It was about presence. Every touch, every pass, every movement sent a message. I am in control. I am inevitable. And for the fans, it was a gift, a moment to cherish. Because we know these moments are numbered. Every game could be his last World Cup match. But while he's here, we witness greatness. The question now, can Argentina repeat as champions? With Messi in this form, the answer is yes. But football is unpredictable. One bad game, one injury, and it's over. That's what makes this so compelling. The stakes are life and death for a nation. Messi carries that weight every time he steps on the pitch. And yet, he makes it look easy. The hat-trick against Algeria was a warning to the entire football world. The king is still on his throne, and he's not ready to abdicate. So what's next for Messi? Another hat-trick? Another record? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing is certain, we'll be watching, because when Messi plays, history is always 1 goal away. And on June 17, 2026, history was made, broken, and reshaped, all in 90 minutes, all by one man. The 38-year-old GOAT just broke football, and he's not done yet. The question is, who will stop him? Or will anyone? Because if this hat trick taught us anything, it's that Lionel Messi is not finished. He's just getting started. Now, here's the thing about breaking records at 38. Nobody expected this. I mean, sure, we knew Messi was still good, great even, but 3 goals? In a World Cup knockout? Against Algeria, who'd only conceded twice in the tournament? That wasn't just good, that was a glitch in the matrix. Let's talk about that third goal, because that's the one that broke Twitter. The one that made even the most hardened football journalists text their dads. Did you see that? Algeria's defense wasn't a joke. They'd held Brazil to 0 goals in the group stage. 0. But Messi picked up the ball 35 yards out, dribbled past 2 defenders like they were cones, then chipped the keeper from an impossible angle. The ball hit the inside of the post, rolled across the line, and nestled into the net. The crowd in the stadium went silent for a second, like they couldn't process what they'd just seen. Then the explosion. And here's a stat that'll mess with your head. That was the latest hat trick in World Cup history. The previous record? Held by a 32-year-old. Messi was 6 years older. He'd played more minutes in his career than anyone in that stadium. His legs should have been dead. But somehow, in the 86th minute, he was still sprinting like a kid chasing his first goal. The first World Cup hat trick ever was scored by an American, Bert Patenaude, in 1930. Back then, players wore giant leather boots and the ball weighed like a brick. Fast forward 96 years, and a 38-year-old Argentine is matching that feat, but with more finesse, more drama, more everything. It's like watching 2 different sports. Joe Burrow, the NFL quarterback, apparently stayed up to watch. He saw the first goal, then fell asleep. Missed the rest. Can you blame him? It was a late kickoff, but imagine waking up, checking your phone, and seeing Messi scored a hat trick. That's the kind of thing that makes you question reality. Messi's reaction after the game? He was emotional. He said it was an honor to play for Argentina. But you could see it in his eyes. This wasn't just another game. This was a statement. He'd just tied the all-time World Cup scoring record, and he knew what that meant. The next match, he could break it. Alone. At the top. Argentina's coach said later that Messi had been different in training that week. Third goal, a solo run, a magician's trick. He showed the full arsenal. Now the world is asking, who can stop him? The next opponent is France, the team that beat Argentina in 2022. That final where Messi scored twice but still lost on penalties. You think he's forgotten? No chance. That loss is fuel. And now, with the record on the line with the semi-final spot at stake, Messi is playing like a man possessed. Algeria's captain said after the game, "We tried everything. Double-marked him. Fouled him. Nothing worked. Because when Messi is in that zone, he's not playing against 11 men. He's playing against physics. Against time. Against every doubt that ever existed. The hat trick itself, it ties him with the record. But nobody cares about ties. They care about the next goal. The one that makes him the greatest scorer in World Cup history. And if the pattern holds, he'll do it in the most dramatic way possible. A free kick in stoppage time, or a penalty in a shootout. Or maybe just another impossible run, because that's who he is. The crowd in the stadium chanted his name for 10 minutes after the final whistle. 10 minutes. That's an eternity in football. They didn't want to leave. They knew they'd witness something that would be told to grandchildren. I was there when Messi became immortal. And here's the wild part, he might not be done. This World Cup has more games, more chances, more history to rewrite. If Argentina wins it all, Messi will have lifted the trophy twice. That cements a legacy that's already untouchable. But for now, it's about the next ball, the next step, the next goal. The record is 15 goals. Messi has 14, one more, and he's alone. One more, and he's the best there ever was in World Cups. And if you're watching him now, you know that one is coming. It's not a matter of if. It's when and where. And against who? France, probably, in the semifinal. On the biggest stage, against the best team, with the whole world watching. That's how legends write their final chapters. Not against minnows, against giants. Messi versus everyone. Again, so here we are. A 38-year-old man defying every rule of aging, rewriting history one goal at a time. The hat trick against Algeria was just the latest chapter. But the story isn't over. The climax is still to come. And trust me, you don't want to close your eyes. Because that's when he'll do it. The moment you blink, the record falls. And Lionel Messi becomes something else entirely.